I am joined this Monday evening by the former Sunderland striker Marco Gabbiadini. Hello, Marco.
Good evening.
And also by the former Newcastle fullback John Anderson, who's got a big smile on his face. Hello, Ando.
Pridey.
You probably enjoyed yourself yesterday.
Did.
Yes.
Very enjoyable.
Well, we will start with that game. It's the obvious place to start with such a standout result. I actually listened to a bit of the North London derby on BBC Radio 5 Live yesterday. I was travelling, and it was a great game. And I thought, well, that's going to be the first game on Match of the Day too. It'll take something very special for that to get usurped, but it was. And Newcastle travelled to Sheffield United at the weekend, with some people wondering whether they might be suffering from a little bit of post-Champions League fatigue, and they answered those questions pretty emphatically.
The throw for Gordon, who's tried to keep it in on the line, cut it back for Longstaff, who scores. Sean Longstaff, left-footed from Anthony Gordon's cutback, has given them an early lead at Bramall Lane. Another chance for Newcastle, whipped in this time. Dan Burn! Dan Burn! Diving header at the back stick, and the big man is there to make it number 2. Dangerous ball from the set piece. Header into the net! Into the net! And for the first time in his Newcastle United career, on his 50th appearance for the club, Sven Botman has scored. Space for Cher. He slipped it through. Trippier's in. And Callum Wilson, here he is! And this time, Wilson hits the back of the net in front of the away fans. Newcastle United 4 and Wilson's 4th of the season. Gordon, left corner of the area. Hit it inside. He's going to hit it this time. Oh, Anthony Gordon. That is a lovely goal. He's cut inside and bent one into the bottom corner. It's 5-0 and it really could be anything.
Sheffield United have got no shape about
Bruno through. Almiron's in. Almiron scores. They've got 6. It's come back for Longstaff. It's come to Bruno. And Bruno makes it 7. Well, what else can you say? Oh, Isak from a header back from a defender is in. Isak's beaten at 1 and then taken it around Fotheringham and put it into the back of the net. And with 4 minutes to go, it's Sheffield United 0, Newcastle United 8, and they have equalled their biggest Premier League winning scoreline.
Well, it's an important win for us. We felt the importance of this game after the Brentford win. And after the game in midweek, it was a big challenge for us physically, mentally, to recover and to really focus and try and give everything to this match to try and win again. And full credit to the players, because that's their first experience of the European week. And they responded in the best possible way.
8 goals away from home at the top level. Very rarely happens. I know Leicester did it not so long ago at Southampton, and actually Harvey Barnes played in that one too, although of course he went off early in this one, didn't he? But what did you make of it, Ando?
I thought Sheffield United were very fortunate to get away with only conceding 8.
Yeah.
I do. That's my honest opinion. Callum Wilson could and probably should have had a hat-trick. He missed 2 chances in the first half that you would have put your house on him scoring. I mean, the Almiron goal probably sums it up. He gives it to Bruno, he runs round him and runs in a straight line. Doesn't even angle a run. And the ball's just played straight through the middle of the 2 centre-backs, and he's clean through on goal. But they were very, very fortunate to get away with 8.
The way you've described that goal then and saying that kind of sums it up, does that mean that you think it was down to a large extent to Sheffield United's ineptitude?
Yeah, there's a little bit of that, but we were good. We were good on the day. We were busier than them. We were hungrier than them. Our work rate was better than them. Desire was better than them. I said in commentary they didn't have any shape, and the gap between their back four and midfield was incredible. How deep their back four was, and the gap between that back four and their midfield players, and we kept finding room and in between that in that area, and players were just getting on the ball, turning. There was nobody near them.
Did you feel from the first whistle that hang on, we could tear them apart?
I thought I was worried about going down there because of the European thing and whatnot, and I thought if Sheffield United come out early and have a right go and get in among us, and they had a couple of half chances before we actually scored, but there was no real intensity about the way they played. There was no intensity about the game at all in those early periods. And we just played. And once we got the first goal, that was it. I mean, Gordon came on and he was absolutely electric. He was brilliant. He ran that back four all over the place. They just couldn't live with him. And I was thinking when we got the 8th, I was thinking this is going to be 10.
Mm-hmm.
And it very easily could have been, and probably should have been.
Could have been a Premier League record. Eddie Howe says it was a fantastic way to end what was, after all, a very busy week for the Magpies.
Good signs for us, because I think the players prepared for the 3 games that we had in the same way. I didn't see any difference for the Milan game than there was to the Brentford game and for what there was for today's game. We've got some top quality players, but this league is so difficult and unforgiving, as we've found out already this season. So back-to-back wins in the Premier League, 3 clean sheets in a week. It's been a really good response to what was a tough opening of the season. Last season our defensive solidity was probably our core strength. Enabled us to win a lot of points when we weren't our very best. We went away from that at the back end of last season, and the beginning of this was difficult as well, so we don't doubt we've got some top quality defenders, but keeping clean sheets is very difficult. So I think that's a really good bonus for us this week that we've kept 3 in a row.
Score 8 goals, and he's talking about clean sheets. But yeah, that's obviously, very different games, the 3 clean sheets, but it's a great
builds
basis,
confidence,
isn't it?
yeah. I mean, look, early part of last season, it was all based on our defensive solidity, not conceding goals, keeping clean sheets. And we built the foundations for the season on the back of that. We've now got 3 on the bounce. Hopefully we can continue that. As Eddie Howe has said, it's been a tough start to the season. It was a good win against Villa, no doubt about it. But the next 3 games were difficult games against 3 good sides. And then we had Milan, and we went and we had to dig in. And managed to get a result out of that from being defensively strong, everybody doing their jobs, knowing what was expected of them, and then going there at the weekend and to score 8 was incredible. I mean, the one thing you would say is that the 3 Premier League sides or 3 sides that got promoted from the Championship last season. Well, they played 16 games. They haven't won a game yet. What does that tell you? Does that suggest that maybe the gulf between the Championship and the Premier League is getting bigger season by season? I don't know. But, there's 16 games between the 3 of them, and they haven't won one yet.
No. So that maybe does tell a little bit of a story, doesn't it? From a Newcastle perspective, this does bode well in terms of being able to handle Champions League and Premier League football. I mean,
look, it's a great confidence boost.
It's only the first kind of week of it, but still.
Yeah, because confidence probably took a little bit of a batter in losing those 3 games, but the result in Milan and then to go away from home and score 8 in the Premier League has got to do your confidence the absolute world of good. Got Manchester City in the Cup on Wednesday, and then we've got another promoted side coming here on Saturday afternoon for a 3:00 kickoff, believe it or not.
Really?
Which is remarkable. But there you go.
Now, don't be caught out
3
by
o'clock
that.
on a Saturday. I
Don't
know,
be caught out by that,
We'll have to set the alarm.
Indeed.
But so everything's good. Back and firing on all cylinders. It was a great game. No, it wasn't a great game. It was a great result.
Great result.
Great
performance.
Yeah, and as I say, it could have been and probably should have been more.
So here's Eddie Howe again then. This is on how Newcastle are coping with what is a very, very busy schedule.
Well, the difficulty is you can't train as much as you normally would. So we were able to train and prepare for opponents last season with a week, which is a totally different thing to preparing for an opponent in 1 or 2 days. So obviously the workload's very intense, but we've enjoyed that so far. Winning helps, and that helps the mood and it helps the atmosphere. So our preference has been sort of 3 or 4 changes maximum. We don't really want to do a totally different team turn up, because I think that's very difficult to keep your rhythm and momentum from the previous match. We'll always try and assess it on an individual basis, and sometimes players might need a rest and you might make more than you anticipate, but at the moment that's the sort of the plan we're following.
You're just enjoying some of the goals again on the monitor
just
in the
seeing
studio.
them again, yeah.
Yes. Why are you shaking your head?
Just that the goal, some of the defending is.
Yeah. You
wouldn't call it defending.
No, you would fear for them.
On the basis of what you've seen yesterday, you would say, on that evidence, you'd say they've got no chance of staying up.
Now, you heard Eddie Howe.
But in fairness to them, they sold their 2 best players during the summer, haven't replaced them.
It's going to be difficult.
You can't do that in the Premier League.
You heard Eddie Howe there talking about the fact that he'd like to be making maybe no more than 3 or 4 changes for each game and keeping the kind of nucleus of the side. Does that make sense rather than having almost a Champions League team and a Premier League team?
Yeah, look, some teams do. They have cup teams and they have league teams and Champions League team. Said this before about Eddie Howe. He doesn't like to make wholesale changes. And I stated back end of the week that the back four would be exactly the same. He will only change that back four when it's necessity calls upon it.
Yes.
I think he'll make changes in other areas. He's fortunate that he's got Isak and Wilson, 2 quality players. He's fortunate that he's got, I don't know how serious the injury is to Barnes, but Gordon came on and Gordon's been electric.
We don't know yet about Harvey Barnes and how serious that is. I mean, he said it didn't look good. I mean, it's a toe injury, isn't it?
Toe injury, yeah. Strange one. I mean, didn't see anything, just seen the boy sitting down one. So fingers crossed it's not a bad one. He's got Almiron and Murphy. Murphy came in, did a job in the San Siro. So look, he's got his beliefs, that he doesn't want to make wholesale changes, and if players can keep playing and keep performing. And the thing about it is, tiredness is a mental thing as well. But if you're winning football matches, you're not really mentally tired because you want to play all the time. You want to be involved all the time as long as you're winning games. It's when you start losing games on a regular basis that mental tiredness really kicks in. But as long as you're winning football matches, you want to be out there.
You might not feel tired, but it clearly does take a toll anyway.
It does, but you can still find that.
I know what you mean.
You can still find that bit, and you want to be involved and you want to play.
There's no Champions League game this week, just a small matter of Manchester City in the League Cup.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does there. I think
there'll be a lot of changes for that.
I think he may well do. Yeah, Livramento came on, Hall came on.
You think they'd both play?
Possibly. But somewhere along the line, these boys have got to get game time. They've spent an awful lot of money on them. We need to see what they're about. People
like Lewis Miley come into the equation.
Possibly, yeah. Look at Anderson, got his opportunity, and I thought he was great again. Yesterday was a really, really difficult game to judge because, as good as we were, they were so poor. There was no real resistance put up.
No.
But look at everybody in blue shirt. I played in blue yesterday. Were excellent. They were all brilliant.
And now we would love to hear from you.
Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Lots of messages already coming in as well. So let me read a couple of the Newcastle ones to you now, Ando, after yesterday's 8-0 win at Sheffield United. Quite a few people are getting in touch with the bets that they had again. That was often the case, isn't it? People like to tell a betting story. Brian says at 3-0 at half-time, my son said 8-0. Was 33-1, but I said 3-1 was more likely. But my granddaughter's partner put a bet on for 8-0, but he cashed out at 7-0. He still won £220. Never cash out. Incredible game and result. Anthony Gordon was superb, says Brian.
Can't disagree with any of that. As I said, Gordon, when he came on, I thought he ran Sheffield United ragged. He was brilliant. His energy levels, everything about him. His goal was quality as well. It was a great finish.
This one's from Dave from Cramlington. No coincidence the upturn in form has coincided with Longstaff's return, says Dave.
We beat Sheffield West Ham 5-1 on the opening day. Aston Villa 5 on the opening day of the season. Sean Longstaff didn't play.
No, but has he not improved the team since he's come in?
He's done well since he's come in. Yeah, it's going to be interesting when Joe Linton's fit, because I think it gives the manager big problems. Because you would think Bruno's definitely in there. He left Tonali out at the weekend. gave him a bit of a rest. But what does he do when Joe Linton's fit?
Brian in Gateshead says, "Hi Simon, the only question I have about yesterday is, in Sheffield United's last game at Spurs, they found 15 minutes of added on time, yet yesterday in the second half, 5 goals, 5 celebrations, 6 substitutions, but only 5 minutes. That robbed us of possibly scoring 10 or 12, says Brian. Should have been more injury time.
Well, he should have scored him before that.
Yeah, but also robbed him of a bit more time to go and do so.
Possibly.
Later.
Yeah, look, I said this before the game yesterday. I know some people love their stats and whatnot. Prior to yesterday's game, and it won't have changed since yesterday, Sheffield United have faced more shots on their goal than any other side in the Premier League, and they've had the least amount of shots at the other end.
Stats
that tells you its own story.
Yes, stats that don't bode particularly well for them. Let's have a chat to Tom, who's on the line. Tom's a Newcastle supporter. Hello, Tom. How are you?
Hello, Simon. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Good evening, John. Good evening, Mark.
Hey,
Hello,
Tom.
mate.
Yeah, I just thought about yesterday's game, John. I thought across the board, the whole team played really well. But for me, the standout player for me, and I know AG got all the plaudits and all the rest of it, I thought young Elliott was fantastic again. When he gets given an opportunity, I think he's never sort of disappointed us. He's always come on, played well. He's a strong young man. Potentially, he could be the future for Newcastle, in midfield.
Yeah, look, I thought he did well again yesterday. I thought he did very well when he came on at Inter Milan as well. I thought he wasn't overawed by the situation. He looked very, very comfortable when he came on. He's a boy who's got a big future, I think. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And it's nice problems for the manager to have because, I've just mentioned Sean Longstaff, but all of a sudden he's come into the side. He's done well. He's got Tonali there. He's got Joe Linton coming back as well. So decisions for the manager to make, and it'll be really interesting, Tom, to see what he does on Wednesday against Manchester City, because you've got young Miley there as well, is still only a baby, but looks so assured. Does he get an opportunity on Wednesday? There's obviously one or two others that you would think will probably get some game time, but as far as young Elliot Anderson's concerned, yet again at the weekend he given an opportunity and he grabbed it with both hands. He was excellent.
It must be great playing for Eddie, because I believe he sort of gives all the young lads a chance, and I think once they're in and they're starting to develop, they're starting to work with better players and they're in around the first team, like young Miley, and his brother, I think the future bodes well for us. But on Wednesday night, I'd like to see the two fullbacks get a game. He might play one, he might play the other, he might not play them both. But just have a go at Man City. Don't hold back and don't give them respect, because it's only a one-off game, and if we go out, we go out. At least we have a go at them,
Yeah, look, I think they'll make changes as well. I mean, I think they've got problems with suspensions and injuries as well. So, but I think both sides will make changes, and you're right in what you say. It's a one-off game. It's got to be won or lost on the night. So nothing to lose. Go and have a go at them and see what it brings.
I think the last point, John, if you don't mind, is do you remember the first goal with AG when he crossed it back to Longstaff?
Yeah.
When it hit his hand.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I was talking to my son because we're both ex-referees, and I looked at the handball. But because it bounced up and he never gained any control over it, it just bounced up to him. So it hit his thigh or his knee, and I think that's why it was allowed.
Yeah, because it wasn't intentional. Yeah, I mean it just bounced up. He didn't know a great deal about it, and apparently the law is if it's not intentional or don't know anything about it, goal stands, and that's the way they've seen it. But look, and I'm not complaining, that's for sure.
No, not at all. For me, I lagged behind the laugh because it was 3-0 half time. I was wondering what the final score is going to be. And again, I reckon it could be double figures because we missed three sitters. We had an own goal. Yeah. John, the last one, what about the penalty that wasn't given?
Yeah.
That was 100% the penalty.
Yeah, it could have been 6 at half time. It probably should have been 6 at half time. Callum Wilson's had 2 glorious chances that you'd have put. If you a betting man, you'd have put your house on. He's clean through. You're thinking, go on, and he did the same with both of them. Just passed it straight into the keeper's midriff. But we could have been 6 at half time. And I said earlier on, I thought they were really fortunate, Sheffield United, that it didn't go to double figures.
Definitely, yeah. No, but it was almost enough with John, and again, I think all the fans out there, And I said to my son, just be patient. We're going to have a roller coaster. We're going to thump people 5-0. We might get beat 3-0. It's one of them seasons where we'll just develop. We'll stay fans.
Yeah.
Tom, good to talk to you.
Cheers,
Thanks
Tom.
for your call.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good.
All the best.
Good to hear
Take
from
it
you.
easy.
Tom dialed 0800 234 6565. You could do the same if you want to have your say on the show this evening. This message, which has come in, is from Derek in Jarrow. He says, "Hi lads, canny show. Just a quick one. Do you think the result would have been the same if Harvey Barnes had stayed on? I think it would have been a different kettle of fish because Gordon tore them apart and I couldn't see Barnes doing that. Am I being a bit harsh? What are your thoughts?"
I still think we would have won comfortably. That's taking nothing away from Gordon's. He was absolutely electric, but they were just all over the shop. They couldn't defend. As I said, the room we got between the lines, between their back four and midfield. Good players find space, and when it's presented to you the way it was presented to us yesterday, good players will hurt you, and that's exactly what we did. Would it have been different? I still think we would have given them a battering. I still think we would have beat them well.
Neil says, "Hi Ando, if you were playing against Anthony Gordon, how would you stop him?"
With sledgehammer.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
The way he played yesterday, difficult to stop him as a fullback.
Yeah, when you're direct and you're quick like him, especially in the modern game. I mean, the fullback, Bogle, he took him off at half time. He was all over the place. The right sided centre back, because they played with 3 centre backs, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, had an absolute he had a howler of a game. He was all over the shop. How you stop him? With great difficulty. The only one I seen this season who's done well against them was, who was it, at Manchester City?
Who was playing?
Kyle Walker.
Fullback, okay, there.
Because
right.
Kyle Walker's as quick as him.
Yeah, so it's the pace that's the key to dealing with him.
Yeah, if you haven't got the pace he's got, he just knocks it and runs, and he'll cause you all sorts of bother.
If you want to call us tonight, 0800 234 6565. Want to hear from more Newcastle fans after that 8-0 win. Want to hear from Sunderland supporters too after that 1-0 home defeat yesterday. Were you at the Stadium of Light? What's your theory on why they weren't able to win that game? Marco has talked about maybe needing to find a different way when teams defend the way that Cardiff did. What are your thoughts? There are some lines free now, 0800 234 6565 as well. Right then, Alan's on the line. He supports Newcastle, gave us a call tonight. Hello Alan, thanks for getting in touch.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Simon, John and Marco.
Hey Alan.
Hello Alan.
John, sometimes you play in a game, right, where the opposition was there to see they were so poor. We weren't poor, so therefore it doesn't matter how many we scored, we're not going to get the praise like we would have done if they had played better. You get me point, John?
I do, but the one thing I would say is it doesn't matter how poor sides are, you've still got to go and you've still got to beat them. And I don't think we could have done any more than what we did yesterday. I thought we were good. I thought they were poor. I agree with you, but you've still got to go and you've still got to score goals. And that's exactly what we did.
I did. John, after the game when we played in Milan, I think the first words you said, we've got to pass the ball better.
Yeah.
And I know the opposition, let's face it, they were not in the same class as, Milan. But we did pass the ball better. And because the opposition wasn't as good, we were able to push forward and get wide, and the gaps appeared all over the place. But they did help.
Yeah, look, we found gaps all over the pitch yesterday. I kept saying this during commentary, the space between their back four and midfield was huge. The back four got no protection. Mind you, they didn't cover themselves in glory the way they defended anyway, but we just kept getting pockets of space. And if you give good players that much room and that much space, they're going to hurt you, and that's exactly what we did. We kept getting into areas. They kept giving it away in bad areas, and we punished them. The only disappointing thing for me was that we didn't score more. There was more goals to be had there. But I mean, if you complain and when you go away from home and you score 8, I mean, that's just a little bit of nitpicking, isn't it?
It is. I think Anthony Gordon quite rightly got man of the match, but I tell you, run him close. Trippier, John. 3 assists, and I tell you what a football brain he's got for a defender, Excellent.
Yeah, look at I thought he was magnificent on Wednesday in Milan. I thought he was brilliant. Yet again, yesterday joined in, plenty of room on that right side. Great ball in for Wilson's goal as well. I mean, Wilson stood on the 6-yard line all on his own, by the way, but but it was still a great pick out, good header. Look, it's all been said about Trippier. It's a shame he's 33 years of age. You wish he was 23 because his decision making. He's a great pro. 9 times out of 10 he makes the right decision. He picks the right ball. Very rarely gives it away. He's just a quality player.
It is. Thanks for giving us the time tonight, lads.
Pleasure,
cheers, Alan.
Always
Take
a
it
pleasure.
easy.
Thank you for taking the time to call us. If you want to do the same as Alan, you've got plenty of time to get on air tonight. We'd love to have you on. 0800 234 6565 is the number to dial. And it's always busy on a Monday, but we'll get you on if we can. There are some lines free now. 0800 234 6565. That is the number that you need. Eddie says, what was wrong with Bruno yesterday, Ando? He didn't seem to be very happy, even when he scored. Why is this? Is he looking unhappy to you?
He looked happy enough when he picked the ball up and stuck it up his jumper and put his thumb in his mouth. Yeah, he looked happy enough to be.
Do you think he's happy generally? I mean, there's been a lot of talk about his supposed dip in form this season.
Yeah, look, the problem is when you had the season he had last season and hit the heights that he hit and had the performances that he reached. When you drop below that, people think it's, he set his standards last season, and sometimes it's difficult to keep those standards up. I thought he was a bit better yesterday again. Scored his goal. Looked happy with the goal. As I say, when he shoved, he didn't look down and out to me. And people keep going on about his contract and everything else. I don't think that's got anything to do with it. It's what the standards that he hit last season were incredibly high, and sometimes it's difficult to keep them up. But he will get back there. He's too good a player not to.
Chaz says in Forest Hall that it obviously wasn't shown on TV, but Bruno looked very happy after he scored. And he says what he screamed in front of the away fans, which I can't read out, but he seemed very happy, says Chaz.
Yeah.
Who saw him at close quarters. This one says, it's from Paul, who's in Chester Street. I don't want to be a party pooper, but as good a result as the 8-0 was against Sheffield United, it's important that we make it a great result, but we do this by beating Burnley on Saturday. I'm not quite sure what the logic is there. It's still a great result, even if they lose to Burnley. But I think he means just back it up, keep cheering them out.
Yeah, you've got to back it up. It's another promoted side. As I said earlier, the 3 that have come up, they haven't won a game yet. So big opportunity to put more misery on a promoted side. Good footballing side. Burnley, watched them against Manchester United. Like to play, like to take chances, which could really suit us the way that we play.
And one more for now. This one is from Joanne in Lowfell. Hello, Joanne. Thanks for your message. I love the show, she says. I listen to it every night. I'm trying to tell my husband about the time when a caller gets wrong off his wife because his tea was getting cold. Can you play it from the archives? It makes me laugh every time I hear it, says John. Have we got that, Dom? Is that still somewhere knocking around in our archives? I mean, our archives are a bit untidy. Sometimes we have to rummage around to find things in them.
More like the loft, isn't it, really?
Yeah. But I don't know, maybe Dom or Nathan can find that
in a box in the loft.
Go and see it. They're both looking at me going, really? Yes, really. And we'll see. Well, just for Joanne's messaged asking for it specifically. So, we don't want to let her down.
Yeah, I remember that when your tea's getting cold.
Yeah. Jeff from Newcastle says, what a day yesterday, and a best away day by far after travelling all over the country following Newcastle in the last 50 years. He reckons that was the best. Should have been more than 8, to be honest. But I'm just being greedy there, says Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Tim's in Monk Seaton. Hello, Tim. He says, Kieran Trippier had an excellent game in Milan and he was arguably player of the match against Sheffield United yesterday with 3 superb assists, Ando, and an all-round captain's performance. When the youngsters in the team look at senior players like him leading by example and giving it everything, it must inspire and motivate them to push themselves on further, improving all the time. The energy still closing them down, pressing high at 8-0 in injury time was a joy to behold. They are so fit and committed to the end.
Yeah, look, I suppose when you're 8-0 up, you want to score more. And I'm sure the boys that didn't get on the score sheet wanted to score as well.
Trippier was one of them.
Trippier was one, Share was the other. Yeah. But look, you go away from home and you win a Premier League game, you're over the moon. But you go away from home and you put 8 past somebody in the Premier League.
What about his comments on Trippier, though?
Oh, well, I've already mentioned about Trippier. You know, I think Trippier is a quality player. He makes all the right decisions, very rarely gives it away. And some people have criticised his delivery from set pieces, but he got them spot on yesterday.
Simon says, calm down, the Blades were abject, we were sloppy on plenty of occasions, a decent side would have beaten us.
Look, yeah, they were sloppy, but as I said, they gave us room, but you still got to take advantage of that. You know, and
he's saying Newcastle was sloppy on many occasions, though.
Well, I don't know whether that's tongue in cheek or not. I mean, as I say, if you go away from home and you score 8 goals, I don't think you can ask for too much more.
This is Total Sport, BBC Radio Newcastle. It's 16 minutes past 7 now.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Yesterday I was in my local to watch the match. One of them stood up and says, right, I will get a painting for the whole round for every goal that Toon scores.
I'm going to say, so how many people were included in this round?
There was about half a dozen.
Can you imagine his face with there's 1 pint, there's 2 pints, 3, 4, 5. So if my maths is right, he had to buy 48 pints yesterday.
He had to go to the cash point.
Never mind the cash point, Steve. He'll have to remortgage his house.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Weekdays from 6. BBC Radio Newcastle.
Yeah, price of a pint these days. Goodness knows how much that would have stung him. Depends where he was drinking.
I was going to say, depends on where you're drinking. Yeah, could be expensive.
At the weekend, it would have cost you a fortune. I mean, heck.
Slightly regretted, I would imagine, making that pledge. I wonder how many he'd had before he decided he was going to make that offer.
I wonder how many he had after he made the offer. He probably didn't have any. Too busy buying everybody else them.
Indeed. Is the question, are they really his friends if they actually took him up on it?
They are now.
They made a bond for life.
Tommy from Biker's been on. He's living the dream. He starts his message by saying, I'm sitting in a Wetherspoons in Hull.
Wow.
Yeah. I am going to Beverley Races tomorrow.
Nice.
I just thought I would let you know, Simon, because you're nebby. Well, yeah, I always like to know, Tommy. Thank you. He says,
any tips?
He says, any tips, Tommy? I'm not convinced people texting in saying they had 8-0 in bets. I think they are telling fibs, in my opinion, says Tommy. I mean, who would back 8-0?
Who would back 8-0 away from home?
Well, I think it was in running when it was 3-0 that the person said that they put the bet on. And so then you've seen the game, you've seen how it's going. And to be honest, when it was 3-0, you probably thought this could be 8, didn't you?
I said Jordan commentary, it wouldn't surprise me if it got the double figures.
Yes. So...
I mean,
that's why...
And I said at half time, we're 3 up, we should be 6 up. Mm-hmm. Should be at least double that.
So
because,
therefore, therefore, some people might have bet on 8 when they'd seen what had happened in the first half.
I thought, did I see a score on 5 in the second half? Probably another 3, maybe. I didn't see 8 now.
Morris has been on. He had Longstaff first goal and Botman to score any time. He did all right as well. So people like to get in touch with the bets that they've won, don't they?
Yeah, they never get in touch with the bets that lose, though, don't they?
They don't. If anyone wants to tell us about your losing bets this weekend, please do get in touch.
Do you want to hear about my losing bets?
Just in the interest of balance. Go on then.
No. Not a bad weekend.
Did you? Horses?
Oh God, yeah.
Football as well, or just horses?
Football bets let us down as well.
Did they?
I never back Newcastle.
No,
never.
Well,
I never
okay.
back them and never back against them.
You should maybe start.
I know. No, I don't want to put the mockers on it.
No, the one I had at the weekend was I just fancied Brendan Johnson was starting for Spurs, and he was 4-1 to score at any time. I thought he'll score, and he missed 3 good chances, 3 really good chances.
Good game, that.
It was a good game, but it would have been a better game if he'd scored. So there we are. I've set the ball rolling. Told you about my losing weekend. Little Mac in Burnhamfield says, "Hoy late winners in the river." As a Sunderland fan, you can't hoy late winners in the river. Late winners are good. It's just not when they're against your team.
You can't do that because come next week
can't.
You might get one and say, "Oh, that was brilliant."
It wasn't even that late, was it? When was it?
Mark said,
80,
what, 80, yeah,
80 something.
83 was it? Wasn't it?
You still had time.
Still got,
yeah.
Still got time to come back.
15 minutes.
Yeah, okay, fair point. And Mark says, "Hoy Jamie Carragher's comments in the river." He said,
what did he say?
Saying on TV that nobody wants to see a team concede 6, 7 or 8 goals in a game. But when Liverpool do it, he's howling like a banshee. His comments are embarrassing. So apparently he said that, yeah. Wanted the damage to stop for Sheffield United's sake.
It doesn't happen that often, does it, John? But
no.
You do. I mean, people do want to see 6, 7, 8 goals scored.
Did you see that on American football? Was it last night where they got 70 points? And it was... That is the record.
Is it?
And
well, it takes them that long to flip in.
Yeah, but the coach then put the mockers on them scoring again, told them not to score again because it was bad karma.
Right, okay. That's curious, isn't it?
They've not thought of that at the World Rugby, have they?
No. Why would you do that? I mean, did you ever feel like that? There was always that story about how in the World Cup when Germany absolutely smashed Brazil when it was in Brazil.
Yeah.
And I think they were 5 up at half time, weren't they? And apparently they were told in the second half, look, this is the host nation, it's just embarrassing them, just ease off second half. I mean, was that, you don't want to see that, do you? Just go and finish it off.
Of course you do.
They might have got told that, but whether they actually did that.
Well, they didn't score as many in the second half, and Brazil
not as many,
back.
but they still kept going.
Well, it was 6-1 in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think. Was it 7? It was 7. Anyway, yeah, it's interesting that because. Yeah, I think, and Jamie Carragher's comments, I think, saying that nobody wants to see a team concede 6 or 7. Well, I think certainly the team that's scoring the goals, their fans do.
Of course they do.
I think a few neutrals probably do as well, don't they? Let's bring Daryl in. He's a Newcastle supporter. Hello, Daryl. How are you doing?
Good evening, chaps. I hope you're all well.
Hey, Daryl.
How are you, Daryl?
I'm feeling very well after yesterday. That away end was very special. I think I was just really glad that we got the lion's share of the goals at our end, to be fair, because I was thinking at half time that we weren't going to get anywhere near that again in the second half. So I'm glad we got the 5 at our end compared to the 3 down at the other end. So that was really nice. And I think it was the perfect way to finish off last week. Tough game midweek last week out in the San Siro, and obviously picking up our first win against Burnley the Saturday before was a really good way to just put everything to bed and just set a tone for the rest of this little period before the next international break as well. I think you can't fault any of the lads yesterday. They all played really well. Gordon made such a huge difference after having to come off the bench. I didn't think he would when he came on because of all the effort he's put in the previous 2 games. He's got quite a few minutes under his belt. But yeah, he made the difference yesterday and just spurred everybody on. And they were just ruthless, weren't they, really, in how they played and the clinical finishing that they had as well. I mean, like you said earlier, Randall, for the Almiron goal, he didn't even have to do anything. He just kept running in that straight line.
Just ran it a straight line, didn't he?
He
just played it.
It was ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I think that entire away end was really enjoying themselves. I spotted John Beresford in there as well, enjoying his Sunday afternoon for sure.
He's a big Sheffield United fan as well, you know. Yeah, supported Sheffield United.
Oh, well, he certainly wasn't supporting them yesterday, that's for sure.
Oh, right.
Yeah, maybe he didn't enjoy himself as much as you think he did.
Yeah. Well. So does the last 2 results put the previous 3 results well and truly to bed?
I think there's you know what it is? You mentioned earlier about the 3 promoted sides, and out of the 3, I think Burnley are the ones that are most likely to stay up. And I thought they were really unlucky against Man United on Saturday because I thought they played really well. and I think they'll pose quite an interesting proposition for us next Saturday. They can be quite dangerous because they've got a lot of pace, and as much as we haven't seen them dominate games to get victories, they do have a style of play that can hurt you. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out next Saturday. Obviously, we've got the League Cup game in the middle of that first. But certainly, you can only beat what's in front of you. So yesterday's result really will help the lads build that confidence.
So how do we go about Wednesday? Does he stick with what he's got, or does he make changes? Or does he make wholesale changes, or does he make 3 or 4 similar to what he did at the weekend?
Well, I had it in my head yesterday that he would make wholesale changes on Wednesday, and I thought he would probably, if he could, he would replace the entire back 5, and I include the goalkeeper in that. He would give that defence just a rest.
What do you mean a rest? They had nothing to do yesterday.
Well, that's true. I mean, Nick Pope. What did Nick Pope have to do? He didn't. He pick up the ball twice, maybe, and that's it.
Yeah. He never had the save to make, did he?
He was a spectator. Didn't even have to ball. He could have put his slippers on and whatnot and just camped out, I think. But no, I think you would. I thought you would have made wholesale changes. I think he'll probably swap the front 3 again. But obviously that'll be slightly different, I think, because obviously Gordon played more minutes yesterday than I think he would have liked.
Yeah.
The plan for that. But I can see maybe 6-7 changes maybe for Wednesday.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
It might be more than that.
Yeah, it might be interesting. Thanks
a lot, Darryl.
Right, cheers, Simon.
Take it easy, Darryl. Cheers.
Just for your call, 0800 234 6565 is the number. Mike, and heading on the wall, says I had a whole pound on Dan Byrne scoring, Sean Longstaff scoring, and Miggy Almiron getting a yellow card. That was 350 to 1. And Miggy didn't oblige, did he? No Newcastle player got a yellow card, I don't think. So he fell short. Paul in Whitley Bay, you said you never bet on or against Newcastle. Paul says, well, I had a bet on Sheffield United to win. I thought there might be fatigue after Milan and that Sheffield United would be fired up, says Paul. So he had a bet against Newcastle.
I have to admit, I had a little bit of that. I thought, to see how we came out of Milan, and I thought they'll be wound up for this. They'll have a right go. They'll come out. They'll put us under all sorts of pressure. That never materialised, thankfully.
But we did ask people to be honest and let us know about their losing bets, and we're getting a load of them coming in now. And this one is from Mark, who says, for Dan Byrne's goal, looking across the goal, the severe shirt pulling was appalling. I thought this as well, actually, when I watched it. Byrne was strong despite nearly having his shirt off his back. I wonder if a penalty would have been given if we hadn't scored, says Mark. And I think it probably would have been.
Probably would have been, yeah.
It certainly should have been.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
He had a mare, by the way, that boy.
He wasn't the only one. You were looking at some of the marks in the paper, one of the papers for Sheffield United.
Yeah. They weren't very complimentary, were they, Simon?
What were they? Who got the highest mark? Somebody got 4, didn't they?
Yeah, McAtee got 5. He got a
5, okay.
Foderingham got 1.
Most of them got a 1.
All the whole back 4, all the back 5 got 1s.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really get angry, did they?
They didn't get anything, Marco.
No, there wasn't much of a reaction, was there? You
know what I noticed as well? And I don't know whether this is a modern game thing or whatnot. You're getting battered. You're getting absolutely battered. And nobody has a go at each other.
No, they don't speak to each other.
They don't speak. They just, I'm all right, But nobody, no finger pointing, nobody having a go at each other.
Does that help, though? Does that help? We've had this discussion before. Does that help if somebody has a go at you?
Well, when you're 6-0 down, it's not going to do any harm.
Well, it might do more
6-0 is a lot better than 8-0.
It's 2 goals better.
8 is an unusual score.
But it is getting angry at somebody and yelling at them when they've made a mistake.
But I think you can sometimes get a player who says, right, that's it now. Nothing goes past here now. Just sit there.
None of that.
Let's dig in. Yeah. You sit in here.
So not necessarily having a go, but just kind of showing some.
There was no passion shown whatsoever by Sheffield United.
It's going to be a worry, isn't it?
There wasn't anybody in a Sheffield United shirt who showed any passion or desire whatsoever yesterday.
That'll be the biggest concern to their fans then. If you get beating 8-0, it's one thing if you're just torn apart, but if you're not showing any passion...
Oh, they down tools. Yeah, they did down tools.
Dave's in Prudhoe. He says, excellent week. We look much better in terms of focus and application since the Brentford game. Outstanding defensive display against Milan, and we took that attitude and effort into the Sheffield United game. My mate wanted 10, but I was more pleased with the clean sheet. That is what breeds confidence. So
Sheffield United could still be in there now, and they were never going to score.
We need to continue this against Burnley, says Dave from Prudhoe on his text message. 81333. Start your text with the letters BBC. Joanne in Low Fell, I've got some good news for you.
It's been found.
Yes, that little push to Dom there to get his act together. He's found it straight away now. So here you are, Joanne. This is the clip that you wanted to hear. I haven't played it out for a while.
Stultifying, that's the word I would say at the football.
Well, my dinner's getting cold.
Steve, I'm going to let you go and get your dinner. Thanks for the call, Steve. That's Steve in Newcastle United supporter.
Yeah, so that was him talking to Michael Hamilton on BBC Radio Newcastle's post-match phone-in. And yeah, she actually shouts, my dinner's getting closer. She's waiting to have her dinner, I think.
What was stopping her eating hers?
Well, I think she likes to eat with him. Doesn't she? I don't know. Remains to be seen. I've not heard him back on again since then. That chap. Could do with having him back on. Or indeed his other half. There you go, Joanne in Low Fell, anyway. I hope you enjoyed that.